Members of Illinois' congressional delegation defending climate change philosophy and also diversity, equity, and inclusion philosophy during two separate hearings yesterday. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. While we focus a lot on what's going on at the Illinois State House, as I'm the editor of Illinois, watching all of the legislative action and the bills that come in that are going to increase your taxes and such, there's a lot to tackle. And obviously, coming up July 1st, you've got several things that the state has enacted that you're going to be impacted by, and that is the gas tax going up July 1st, again, tied to inflation, tied to the cost of living increase. So that's going to go up again, a couple of cents per gallon. But you've also got tobacco taxes, sports betting taxes, long-term rental taxes, a variety of corporate tax changes that are going to be implemented as part of the budget July 1st that begins. So that's just around the corner. But over in Washington, D.C., they're also doing stuff that impacts you. And you've got a delegation of Congress people in Washington, D.C. that, have hearings and such. And one of those is U.S. Senator Dick Durban, who during a Senate committee hearing talked about climate change and the science that he believes is real.
Climate change is real, and it's a huge threat to our economy, our environment, and our way of life. These facts are undeniable. We need you as young people in America to stand up and say to our generation, get the hell out of the way. You're screwing up this planet and we have to live with it. So give us something that's more hopeful and positive. And it isn't by finding conspiracy theories involving China. Instead of holding this partisan hearing to push conspiracy theories and fossil fuel industry funded attacks on state climate policy, we should be holding bipartisan meetings to address the cost of climate change and to identify bipartisan ideas to produce more clean energy, create jobs, and lower energy bills across the country, and maybe give you an earth that you can live on.
So again, that's Durban talking about how climate change, he says, is real, and we need to stop with the China conspiracy theories. What exactly are those conspiracy theories? Here is Senator Ted Cruz talking about energy and, how a lot of people, especially in a state like Illinois, looking to close coal-fired power plants by 2035, 2040, looking to focus more on wind and solar instead of baseload generation like coal, like natural gas, like nuclear. But here's Ted Cruz, senator from Texas, talking about, what's really going on here with the climate change push to get to more renewable energy that some argue is not reliable.
Project tells judges that, quote, the consequences of a business-as-usual scenario would be catastrophic. That's called propaganda. And yet, it goes on, it encourages the judiciary to view climate litigation as a, quote, unique opportunity for, quote, accountability. It even recommends embracing novel tort theories, like public nuisance, to assign liability for greenhouse gas emissions. Let me ask, is this neutral? Or is that lobbying behind closed doors? The materials even applaud pending lawsuits, praising the Rhode Island AG's case as, quote, well-crafted, while failing to mention that similar claims have been dismissed by federal courts as legally baseless. And who funds these baseless CJP trainings? The same dark money donors who bankroll the lawsuits themselves, the same networks that support Shear Edling LLP. This is not how a constitutional republic functions. Courts are not supposed to be laboratories for political activism, and judges are not supposed to be trained by the plaintiff's bar that is receiving their funding from the Chinese Communist Party. What we are witnessing is judicial capture, driven by ideology, powered by money, and tolerated by far too many. This three-pronged strategy, foreign funding, mass litigation, and judicial indoctrination, is a full-spectrum assault on American energy independence. And while China drills and digs, we sue and shut down.
So interesting to hear what Durbin called a conspiracy theory from Senator Ted Cruz laying out his understanding of the facts. So that's one hearing going on. And of course, in Illinois, we very much have a renewable energy focus, the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act and other legislation that is spurred on getting away from coal-fired power plants, getting away from natural gas-fired power plants, getting away from those baseload energy generation in exchange for wind and solar and battery storage. And even the wholesalers, the multi-state energy wholesalers, saying your energy prices are going up in Illinois because of an increased reliance on alternative energies, like, for instance, wind and solar. Now, are we going to have something change in Illinois that allows for larger nuclear facilities to expand and to develop? That was some talk during spring session for that, but it never actually materialized before the end of session. So a lot more is going to be said about energy in a state like Illinois versus the idea of addressing so-called climate change. But then in the House, there was a separate hearing, a House hearing on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Here is Democratic Illinois U.S. Rep. Raja Krishnamoorthi talking about why he thinks that the Republicans' attack on DEI is misguided. Here's a moment from that hearing.
It has in its title, it is the Healthcare and Financial Services Subcommittee of the Oversight Committee. The more that we talk about subject matter outside the confines of what this subcommittee is really directed to, the less I believe that we are going to be able to come together in performing our oversight roles. And today's topic of DEI is a prime example of what we should not be doing on this subcommittee. I hope that we can return to a time where we can do bipartisan joint oversight with regard to issues squarely within the jurisdiction of this subcommittee. For instance, going after illicit vapes, which continue to plague the landscape and addict millions of teenagers to tobacco and to nicotine. Going after practices or companies or entities that might poison our baby food with toxic heavy metals. Going after those people who might prey on our youth through big tech. The list goes on and on.
So he's talking about how he thinks the focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion is wrong-sided. It's not to fit into this particular oversight committee. He continued on.
Real competition and true opportunity drive economic success. That's why it's no accident that Illinois is one of just 13 states that sends more tax dollars to Washington than it receives in services. Illinois does this by fostering diverse talent, and it invests in having the broadest opportunities for everyone. Those investments mean that Illinois ranks near the top nationally in economic performance, education, and quality of life, and Illinois is an engine of America's economy. Diversity is one of its drivers. There is no reverse gear for prosperity, and I will not go back to the days when the American dream was reserved merely for the privileged few.
So he's talking about the various lists that Illinois lands at the top of, but other lists Illinois lands at the top of is second highest property taxes, almost the highest overall combined taxation. You've got the outbound migration. We're among the highest states. We just looked at the census data this morning showing that we're losing more 18 and under people at a quicker rate than New York and California. You've got the sanctuary status, a bunch of other things. So you've got the Republican chairman of this House committee, Congressman Grothman. He talked about why he thinks it's important for this committee on oversight to look at diversity, equity, and inclusion policies.
The reason I took up this topic is because I think it leads to division. I think intentionally it leads to division, as we have been educating young people that we have a racist society and we should all view ourselves as an ethnic group constantly fighting with each other. I think that would destroy our country. I think some of the other members of this committee have pointed out when they talk about Marxist, I think they talk about it in a little bit different way than I do. I think it is trying to destroy our country, particularly at a time when we have so many immigrants who are people of color from all around the world, to have a bureaucracy that is educating people that they should walk around with a chip on their shoulder. And I think on the face of it, the successes of people of color from around the world who come here, be it from Africa, be it from North Africa, be it from the Pacific, what have you, would indicate that everybody can make it in America. And I think people who talk about how horrible things are wind up only hurting the people who have to breathe this stuff in. I also tried to point out that diversity is not determined by where your ancestors come from, okay? Everybody lives in different backgrounds, has different parents.
So it's a hearing that happened in the Congress, two separate hearings there, one dealing in the House with DEI and the other one dealing in the Senate with climate change and other energy policies. If Illinois people are talking, we're going to be sharing it with you here with Illinois in Focus. I'm Greg Bishop, editor at The Center Square. Go to thecentersquare.com, get the newsletter, sign up today. You can find the podcasts at thecentersquare.com, or you can find the podcast anywhere you get podcasts. Just search Illinois in Focus. But you can wake up each and every weekday morning, get your cup of coffee, 8 o'clock, we'll go live with Illinois in Focus Daily.